So we started working in the community of Queen's Park in partnership with BPHA, and they were really keen to work with residents in housing on two particular streets where they really felt that they wanted the residents to have the chance to get to know each other more, to increase their well-being, to give things for their children to do. So we did a sort of micro project really. We literally brought a gazebo down and put it at the end of the street and asked who wanted to play. And out of working there quite intensively over nearly 3 years, we did a number of projects in the end, film projects, some documentary style, some animation. We did an in-situ pop-up cinema. We projected images on garages and doors and things like that and really got to know the kids. We also did other stuff like sports days and that kind of thing. And then we really wanted to learn more about the wider community of Queen's Park and see if we could work across the ward. And actually to develop our skills in neighbourhood level work, because over BCA's history, a lot of the work we've done has been working with particular community groups, but not necessarily particular neighbourhoods. So this was a different project for us to learn the skills in working in that really intense neighbourhood way in a really interesting community.
So coming into the project at the second stage, I suppose we had to kind of backtrack and kind of investigate who are the people of Queen's Park. And as communities change, there is no such thing as one community, people are individuals. And, you know, we were looking at how we can engage and find out more about those communities. So that was a key factor in changing our delivery in the area. The Ambassadors Group helped inform that, and the people that we work with, we worked again and again with over the 3 years, and siblings and family members. So we hope that the people that we have engaged with have had a really meaningful and fulfilling engagement with us.
I found the ambassador meetings incredibly amazing, really. I've been able to make amazing contacts from that, and from that I've then collaborated successfully with other people. I think by seeing all the war memorials and stuff and the projects we've done, and especially helping the local school, Queen's Park Academy, I think by a person who doesn't live in Queen's Park, you can easily tell that there's a community vibe, and also from what we've been discussing in meetings, certainly just makes the community a better place. Being a youth ambassador for Take Part Queen's Park, it's been really, really useful because I can then go into the community, get the views from the young people, and then also reiterate that back into meetings, and you then have a young person's view. So it means you're reaching absolutely everyone from the community.
So originally, when we first had the idea for this project, what we wanted to do is to commission some artists to be in resident in Queen's Park and to do some commissions that invited people to participate in arts and cultural activity, see how they felt about it with a view to joining some kind of ambassadors group and then commissioning with us. Of course, the moment we got started, we had COVID hit us, and that delayed us really getting into the community. It delayed us meeting people there face to face. But we didn't want to delay the start entirely. So we instead talked to people like the local schools to see what they might find beneficial. And one of the suggestions was creative art packs, and actually sending things straight into people's houses that would give children something to do, particularly if those children didn't have access to craft materials or scissors even, and things that they might be able to do. So we got the artists that we had already appointed for the project to think about what those art packs could be and sent them into the homes. And then we also accompanied those with a series of videos that were presented by artists that help people to think of ways that they could be makers in their own homes and have a go at things, and then share that stuff online using all the digital tools that we were starting to use more of during COVID. So those two aspects came together quite nicely, although completely different from what we'd originally planned to do.
So I've been involved in Take Part Queen's Park project during lockdown, and I produced 2 cooking videos for the schools. We were experiencing different food from the different cultures. And after that, I did one samosa workshop for children to learn about the food from different cultures. And we did that in the community center as we were coming out of lockdown. My children also attended a couple of workshops where they did some painting, some stencil painting and mural as well. They really enjoyed it because it was something different to do, and it was very creative for them as well because it was something different. I also work at Cares in Bedfordshire, and some of the local young carers, they were not able to participate in some of the activities because they were not able to travel. So we joined up with you, with Bedford Creative Arts, and we encourage these young carers to come and join your activities, and they really enjoyed those. And we really want to thank you for accommodating the needs of the local community. And we feel like the work of Bedford Creative Arts has been very beneficial for the local community and the local children, and it should continue.
So once the COVID lockdown restrictions lifted, we felt we really needed to get our faces back out into the Queen's Park community again. And we had our appointed artists who wanted to do 2 commissions, and we had done a little bit of workshop engagement in the community to test the ideas for the projects they wanted to do. But we just wanted to meet as many people as possible. And we decided the easiest way to do that was to invite people to come along and have a cup of tea. And we thought we would do that in a fairly neutral community space. In the community centre seemed like the right place to do it. And we provided a week of free activities for families where people could come and have a cup of tea, meet us, have a bit of a chat. But they could also do something participatory and fun at the same time that just started to make them think about what kind of creativity they enjoyed. We did wellbeing activities, we did lots of arts and crafts, but we even did constructing things out of Lego that helped people to explore what they wanted Queen's Park maybe to look like in the future and what they thought it looked like now. So all of that kind of thing was fantastic for reaching hundreds of residents all at once and just having a lot of conversations that informed what we did next. So Caroline Wendling was a really interesting artist who'd done lots of similar sorts of work, but has a really organic approach to how she develops what she does. So on the outset, she didn't have a fixed sense of the kind of thing she was going to do. She did a lot of walking around Queen's Park, a lot of conversations with communities, allotment walks, history walks, popping along to community groups, meeting residents at Presentation House. And then it sort of slowly emerged into these different artistic outputs, so clay works, embroidery works, and this film, which was abstract and interesting and a really unusual way to present some of the talents and interests of the people of Queen's Park. Caroline's work culminated in an exhibition at the Higgins. So it was a really nice way of bringing some of the community of Queen's Park into the Higgins Museum. I think so much of what you see in a museum is about people from the past, not people who are living in Bedford today. And so it was great to take a little bit of Queen's Park in and presented as they see themselves in the video in particular, and to show that to everybody who wanted to come through the doors of the Higgins and have a look. And it was really nice to see it presented as a really high quality artistic exhibition in its own right in such a major gallery space.
My commission was about obviously working with the community of Queen's Park and to try to look at the idea of what makes a community blueprint and what makes a community be creative and give the community basically as an artist the chance to be creative. It was interesting to be part of that moment where people started meeting again outside their homes. It was very tentative at first, but it did happen. I had a very special time with the community because I made real friendships, and because the project was quite long, I had the chance to actually have a meaningful relationship with the community, because I was not just in and out, but I was able to move from group to group and actually create links with the different groups and meet people over many months. It's the community I worked with, it's the groups I worked with that absolutely shaped the project and the exhibition here at the Higgins. Of course, I gave groups different ideas about what they might be working. So one of the outcome ended up being an enormous embroidery, which was 2 meter diameter, and made by 7 different community groups. One of the other outcome was the work I did with the school and with a sheltered housing.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome to our exhibition. We've been working with an artist called Caroline Wendling.
Caroline has helped us to find different ways to share some of our favourite things about Queen's Park.
We have made a film, some objects out of clay and some embroidery. Lots of people who live in Queen's Park have helped with this exhibition. People of all ages and with lots of different talents. Caroline thinks Queen's Park is like a group of islands. Lots of people live here, but together we make up one big happy community. We hope you like it. Please also come and visit Queen's Park, the most unique place in Bedford.
The third outcome, which was very much, in a way, my take on the project, it was, the Art Centre giving me the chance to actually produce work I wanted to produce as an artist, so I had a chance to really think about it, was the film. I worked with a wonderful editor, Andy, and that film was again a way for me to give a sort of fun view on a specific stories that came through and specific places that became important within Queen's Park. So stories that people might have, shared during a workshop, things I might have picked up, places I will have gone to, like the allotment, for instance, where I did a particular walk called Allotted. The film was a way to create an artwork that brought little snapshots of community together, but seen, I guess, through my lens, but with the participant, with the voice, and in most of the little vignettes, the film is made of 7 vignettes. Most of the vignettes, the participants are not shown, or just part of them are shown except for one. So it's mostly voices, places, and a little story being told, through the actual physicality of the place.
In the last 3 years, we've been working with Bedford Creative Art on a different type of project in Queen's Park. We supported them in terms of reaching some different communities in Queen's Park, and they've done a fantastic mural in Carlisle Road. They did the film as well that you can see today. And by working together, we decided to apply for funding to do the Multicultural Jubilee event, which took place last June to celebrate the Queen's birthday. It was a wonderful partnership, and we really hope that tonight is the end of the 3 years project. However, it's not the end of our partnership.
Through the Ambassadors Group, we've worked with Claire from Bedford Youth Offending Service. We've worked with Queen's Park Community Organisation. We did a festival with them as part of the Jubilee celebration. Lots of people from Queen's Park were involved in that. We did carnival costumes, and we kind of supported them in the festival. That partnership wouldn't have happened without our engagement in Queen's Park over the last 3 years and building that relationship.
It's been really positive working with the artists and learning about their practice, but also sharing sort of my knowledge as a keeper of social history and the heritage of the local place, but then seeing that in action through an artist's eyes, sort of seeing where they take that and how they engage with our community participants and actually open up a whole new type of engagement with them in a way I can't do by doing tours or talking to them. In doing artistic practice where people are either drawing or looking at things in a different way with the artists through the artist's eyes, or getting involved in a very kind of present activity, but then developing that alongside the artist. That engagement, I think, has been really wonderful to see, and I think has given me a whole new appreciation, I think, for that aspect of contemporary artwork, contemporary teaching, and just, yeah, so it's been a really brilliant opportunity.
So one of the artistic teams we recruited to work on this project was Andy Holden and his partner Mira Calix. Andy has been a long-time resident in Queen's Park and has a studio there. He's an internationally renowned artist who works all over the world and a lot in London, and doesn't necessarily work in his local community. So this was an opportunity for Andy to actually work with people on his doorstep. So what was nice about Andy's approach was that he wanted to go out of his comfort zone a little bit and bring on board his partner, who's a musician, Mira, and actually look at things like sound. Interestingly enough though, when they presented that to the community of Queen's Park, they were more interested in Andy's fine art practice and actually painting than they were in the idea of sound. And Mira was really open, also living in Queen's Park, to exploring that with the communities. So it was through those workshops that they came up with this idea of a mural, which was very much in keeping with the existing mural culture of Queen's Park. But they wanted to do something that didn't use words, that used symbols, that could work across any language, and represented some of the themes that they kept hearing presented to them from the community, which are things like communication, unity and community, and had quite a strong COVID theme to it as well. So they started to pull together ideas through some workshops about how that might come together. Very sadly, Mira Calix lost her life during this process, and we did pause the project at that point to have a think about how and whether we would continue. But Andy was really keen to continue the project in her memory and to collaborate with another artist instead on doing that. So he worked with an artist, David, who actually has worked with Mira Calix before in designing some of the artwork for her album covers. So there was a really nice link to Mira and all of the work that she had done in the community and who she was in this project. So Andy and David in the end pulled together the design concepts that we presented back to residents, particularly on those two streets again, so Carlisle Road and Chester Road, and invited them to paint this mural. And BPHA really kindly provided a wall for them to do it and cleared the space so that you can see this really quite large mural in a really residential area of Queen's Park that didn't have a lot of colour in it before.
They've done loads of drawing and basically painting and practicing how to do some very beautiful paintings so they can do it on mural art on the wall. They completely enjoyed it and they want to do some more. So whenever new projects come up, they can get involved again. Children were filmed when they were doing this creative art project, and I sent the clip to Pakistan where my father-in-law and my sister-in-law watched the clip, and they were absolutely delighted to see all the stuff that they did and all the people, because obviously like in Asia you don't find mixed culture and different diversity, and to see this here was amazing.
BCA has always been a commissioning organisation. We've always commissioned artists to work in communities, but we hadn't done a lot of intensive work in neighbourhoods. And we found Queen's Park a really fascinating place. Everybody does. It's really diverse multiculturally. It has a really fantastic sense of strong community cohesion. It's actually geographically really interesting in terms of its proximity to the river and the allotment areas and the number of faith organisations, and we felt that we had a lot to learn from a community like that about how they come together and how they celebrate their cultures together. But we also wanted to give them an even greater connection to their local museum in the centre of town, and the Higgins, I think, really wanted to develop their outreach practice. So it was an opportunity for us to collaborate with Higgins. It was an opportunity for us to learn about that kind of neighbourhood work. And it was also an opportunity to work with artists like Andy Holden and get them to develop their practice in very different ways, because Andy hadn't really done a lot of community engagement work before. So working with a funding partner like the Paul Hamlin Foundation, who are very interested in investing in that side of test and learn practice, where you learn new skills and try them out. And then the Harbour Trust were particularly interested in what we would learn about the social impact of arts projects. So we felt that this was an opportunity to establish whether arts and cultural activity really do have a social impact on communities, and would maybe help us to reflect on what further work we can do in this community and others alongside it.
I think when we started this project, obviously this project has been quite a long journey from the inception, and it has changed and morphed a great deal from what we'd originally even thought we commissioned and what's come out of it. But what I would like to say is that I am enormously proud, I think, of the partnership working and collaborative working that's happened between all the different partners. I think the artists that were involved have been really brilliant at being flexible and trying to find out a way that will work with the communities that they're working with, and listening to those communities, which is actually really rare, because quite often it must be quite hard as an artist to think, oh, well, I've got this in my mind, this is what I want to do. But actually, no, like Caroline and Sandy, they've been brilliant at listening. And sometimes they've had knockbacks, but they're like, oh, but... And then it's been brilliant seeing that kind of evolve over quite a long period. But I think that length of evolution, in a way, made things like the exhibition, like the mural coming together, make it just feel like a huge achievement for everybody, and really a celebration of everything that we enjoy here with our Bedford and local communities at Queen's Park. So thank you very much for doing the project. I really enjoyed it.
We have a really strong bond now with a lot of people in that community, particularly some of our core partner organisations like Queen's Park Community Organisation, also Faith in Queen's Park, also the Youth Offending Team. Those relationships are fantastic, and we've already started to collaborate on other projects, which is a really nice legacy of this working. I think the quality of the outputs themselves has been fantastic. I love the fact that the school who first started working on a clay club were really nervous about whether it would work, and then actually really found their feet with it and have since continued to deliver clay activity in their school. I think there's lots of very individual moments with key residents as well who said things to us like, you know, if it hadn't been for this, then I wouldn't have got to know people so quickly, and there's nothing for my child to do in the holidays, and we found there's something really fantastic for my child to get involved in. We've even had approaches from people saying, can you help me get funding so I can set up my own club and my own activity? And those things are exactly what you want to achieve. I also think we've got a really lovely relationship with the Higgins Museum. We've done projects with them before, but this was very different in the sense of it being a true outreach project that went out and brought the community in. And I think the quality of the artistic output in the exhibition was really strong, especially when we didn't know what we were going to come up with to begin with, to get something that strong quality and for the community to be seen as artists. I think that was really lovely.
It was a really useful partnership with Bedford Creative Arts, because you had that reach out with artists but also with communities that perhaps were different audiences to the ones we'd worked with in the past. A number of communities that we were working with, there was opportunities to work with artists with those communities. So there was kind of that two-way relationship that was, you know, looking really positive. I think Queen's Park is a really diverse part of Bedford and a really historic part of Bedford. So that was really joyful, really, to be part of a project that could bring all those aspects together: the heritage, the people, the place, and the artistry.
The ideas came from the young people. We had a couple of spare hours at the end of the Carlisle mural project, and we just showed them the room and explained what it's used for, and then just got them to come up with some ideas. And some of the ideas involved it being a landscape and it being outdoor scenes. Someone said about it being reflect the seasons of the year. We also want to sort of acknowledge that a lot of people are going there to pray to Mecca. We've found out a way of actually sort of symbolising that as well, and being really subtle to sort of show that aspect of the room. I'm hoping some of them will get a chance to work on another mural of some sort in the future, whether it's in school or somewhere else. You know, it'd be nice that there's a knock-on effect and they get into painting murals, even if they're just doing their back garden fence or something, you know, and it's just brightening the place up, whatever bit painting goes on, makes it so the world's not just all grey walls then.
I started working on the mural with Amina, who was the designer of the mural, and I was part of the painting team. We worked together to actually put the stencils on the wall, which was really complex, but I feel like it turned out so well. The space is so calming, and I've already heard from many people already about how positive they feel about the space. As well as being a projects assistant for BCA, I really like being creative in my spare time, so it was such an honour to be part of the creative production team actually putting the mural together. And it was really lovely working in Queen's Park as part of the community.
I've had the privilege of attending and being part of the Made in Queen's Park and the cafe. And I brought my grandkids, myself, friends, kids, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. Hence, I'm back again today for them to join in. I've noticed today when I came in, BCA has redesigned the quiet space, which is also used as a multi-faith room for prayer purposes, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So well done, BCA, for putting on such a wonderful room together.
At the end of the event, we're having a celebration about the whole 4-year programme it's become, and to kind of give people kind of food and a theatre experience, to show how we value their support.
I also think that we're starting to cross-collaborate between Queen's Park as a community and Caldwell. One of the ambitions of this project we had before COVID was to see if we could reach out into the neighbouring ward of Caldwell as well. Caldwell doesn't have anything like the community infrastructures that Queen's Park has. It has fewer charities working there, it has fewer formal organisations that are constituted that are able to secure funding for the area. And as a result, it feels like there isn't as much going on for that community, but it's also very diverse, quite high levels of economic deprivation in some of those areas, and the community are very keen to see more creative activity going on there. So we're starting to work in that area, but we're also working with some of our friends and partners from Queen's Park. And we're also hoping again that the residents of both Caldwell and Queen's Park might spend a bit more time with each other and really enjoy that experience of engaging in each other's areas.